Hi again, friends, and welcome to 2017. I have a feeling this is going to be another wonderful year. The weather outside may be a bit frightful now, but let's have a look back at the hot, sizzling summer of 2016 and some of those wonderful automobiles that made our car shows and cruise nights so much fun. Ford created Gord's 57 Fairlane Ranchero from a station wagon. It was a completely new model for Ford. 57 was the first year for this kind of car. It would be 2 years before GM would come out with their El Camino. Ford only made 6,400 of Gord's Fairlane model, but about 15,000 of the base model were turned out. For that reason alone, Gord's Fairlane Ranchero is pretty rare. Gord has restored the Ranchero to its original specs. This was a complete frame-off restoration. Gord's is a numbers-matching car, and it's powered by the original 292 engine. It took Brother Jerry years to find just the right car. He wanted an early 1940s coupe, but he found the car he would buy in Hamilton. Jerry didn't want to spend a lot of time doing restoration. He bought the 41 Dodge Coupe as you see it now.
I did absolutely nothing to it, put gas in it, changed the oil, put air in the tires, and drive it.
Under the hood sits the original 218 Flathead 6, turning out about 85 horsepower. It has a standard 3-speed on-the-column transmission with overdrive. The only upgrade made was Jerry changed the electrical system to a 12-volt. Here's Kenny's custom 39 Mercury that he bought from a friend and wondered later why he bought it. But his son convinced him to hang on to it. He said, "Dad, it's a rare car." Kenny agreed. Like many, Kenny's Merc was an absolute disaster when he bought it.
Chopping the roof, we ended up getting the information from the internet on how the Barris brothers did theirs, and that's what we guidelined it off of as well. So, and then decided to use a GM drivetrain, something dependable, something to get us around economically. And the back end's on air ride, front end's Mustang 2 suspension. It runs really good.
Under the hood is a stock 305 Chevy engine. Kenny figures it took him 2 years to complete the job, and it was all done in his garage. There's too much to tell about this car now, but I'll try to turn out a profile video on Kenny's 39 Merc before the winter's out. Dave is a Studebaker guy. He did a 2.5-year rebuild on this 53 Commander Coupe. This was a total frame-off restoration.
When I was a teenager, they were just cool cars, and I just remembered them. And my cousin, when I was used to babysit for him when I was 14, 15 years old. He had a 57 Golden Hawk with a supercharger, and he used to scare the hell out of me with it. And I just always remember Studebakers were cool, so I've always loved the 53 shape. They were so far ahead of their time.
Under the hood is a 259 Studebaker engine bored out to 294. Something that took a long time to make was the console. It's all handmade from sheet metal. The Studi is equipped with a 5-speed standard transmission, and Dave credits a lot of friends who pitched in to help when needed. Jim is the owner of this 1928 Veely. It's a car you've seen many times over the years, but few know anything about it. This slideshow interview I did with Jim back in 2013 will bring you up to date on this car.
A Veely is a car that was made in Moline, Illinois from 1908 to 1928 by the maternal grandson of John Deere.
There's an interesting story here. Jim and Mary had just returned from Alberta and had seen a vast expanse of old cars in a field.
It was a junk field, and I mean virtually hundreds of cars.
Once back home, they were looking at an old Ford they were considering buying when they saw an ad from the very same field of old cars they'd been looking at. The ad was for a very rare 1928 Veely. Well, the next day, Jim and Mary gave them a call, and they bought the Veely over the phone.
I wanted something different, something that no one else had. Now,
over an 8-year period, Jim spent about 5,000 hours himself restoring the Veely.
We bought it in 1995. We finished it in the summer of '03.
Last fall, Jim did a little engine work on the Veely, and it'll be in great shape for cruising this spring. Now, here's Paul's 29 Ford Hot Rod. It's admired by all who see it. It's a classic no bells and whistles hot rod that's low-slung, well-powered, and everyone admires it, especially kids. Here's Jim's great-grandson Caleb taking command of the parked roadster. He's having a ball. Paul also owns this more powerful Chevy with a supercharged monster engine. Thanks, Paul, for showing off your fantastic cars. Bob first saw this 1933 Chevy back in 1987 when he lived in Woodstock. This was a major restoration as many pieces had to be made by hand. When Bob bought the car, it was all disassembled with at least 100 boxes of parts. It took 9 years to restore this car, and it was all done by Bob in his garage. Under the hood sits a Chevy 305. There's no way to tell you in a short time the amount of toil that Bob put into this car. He says it'll cruise all day in comfort at 80 miles an hour, and it's driven regularly during warmer months. Packard made the Patrician model from 51 to 56, and there are only a few 54 Patricians left running. Ray's is one of them. Only a little more than 2,400 Patricians were produced by Packard in 1954. It's equipped with a Thunderbolt 359 straight-8 engine, turning out 212 horsepower. That's a lot of horsepower for 1954. Back then, Packard was running into financial problems, so there were only a couple of styling changes separating the 53 and 54 models, notably the headlights and the taillight trim. Here's Roy's 1966 Chevy 2. Roy did all the frame-off bodywork and painting himself.
I took the car totally apart in, I think, 04, and then it's been like it was a 3 or 4 year restoration, but it is an SS car, it is an L79 car, which makes it ultra rare, and it's just a hoot to drive.
Under the hood sits the original 327 350 horsepower engine and the original 4-speed transmission. This car is clean inside and out. I'll put together a profile on Roy's car as well later this winter. We can all be proud of the beautiful inventory of classic cars we have right here at home, and the people who spend so much time in making their dreams a reality. I hope you enjoy this series of videos, and you'll save as many as possible to pass along to your grandkids as keepsakes of our automotive history, and the way we were and the way we are now. You know, in the future, these videos will be a record of us and our generation's pastime and enjoyment. Before I go, I'd like to give a shout out to Denise. She injured her leg in an accident last fall. Denise, we're thinking of you and hope you're moving around a lot better. And we're looking forward to seeing you in the spring. We'll do a little dance, have a little fun, and get down at our cruise nights. Well, my friends, that's a little longer than usual video, but I've crammed in a lot of good information about the cars we know and love. Thank you for viewing. Have a safe and warm winter. And this spring, we'll see you at the car shows and cruise nights.